Okay. Hello, everybody. This is Marijana Smolčec from Croatia, your eTwinning Inclusive Education Group moderator. I'm very happy to welcome you all on the 24th of May 2018 for the 12th webinar organized by our group. I'm very happy to have a warm welcome of my dear colleague Milena Popova, who I had been able to meet in Malta last year. It was a very nice experience for both of us, I'm sure, and I'm very grateful that she has accepted to do a presentation on the teaching with Europeana and how to create engaging lessons with digital cultural content. Since this year is the year of cultural heritage, this is one of the very interesting topics, and maybe most of you will also have an interesting things to share with us later in the chat. So before we start, let me just say that Milena is the head of the reuser service team at the Europeana, which aims to increase the reuse of digital cultural content in education, research, and by the creative industry. Milena is responsible for the development of partnerships with educational networks, publishers, policymakers, and national ministries of education to promote the educational value of Europeana and inspire learners across the world to use Europeana for digital learning. She also oversees the development of Europeana education community open for all those who believe that Europe's digital cultural heritage can enrich educational experience and also who want to work with Europeana to make this happen. I also like to say hello to my dear colleague Asi, my coordinator from eTwinning, and I don't want to take a lot of more time. Thank you so much everybody for coming, and thank you Milena for accepting to do this talk. I'm going to stop sharing the poster and my camera and give you the mic, so the floor is yours. Welcome.
Thank you very much, Marijana, for this nice introduction, and maybe first of all for inviting me for this workshop. A warm welcome to all participants from me as well. Before sharing my screen, I'd like to make some comments on how we organize and how the workshop will go. So you will see me now, for maybe a few more seconds, so that you can connect the name to the face. But I will stop sharing my web camera so that we can all focus on the slides. And then during the presentation, maybe around the mid-presentation, we'll do a practical exercise, and then I will welcome questions. And at the end of the presentation, once again, I will be available for a Q&A session. So without further ado, I will stop sharing my camera, and then I will share my screen. And we'll start the workshop. Okay. So once again, welcome everyone. This workshop will be about how you can teach with Europe cultural data and how you can create engaging learning experiences in your classroom using our shared heritage. So in this workshop, I will explain what is Europeana, provide some practical details how you can search and navigate Europeana collections, what other resources we offer, and what kind of support you can rely on, and also some inspiring examples of educational materials with our content. So Europeana, for those of you who are not very familiar, it's Europe's platform for digital cultural heritage. It is funded and founded by the European Commission around 10 years ago. And in fact, in September this year, we'll have our 10th anniversary. So it will be a big party for us. So we started modestly as an online portal with around 2 million digital records. And during the years, we have grown exponentially to a digital platform currently featuring over 50 million digitized cultural items coming from over 2,700 libraries, museums, archives, and galleries across Europe. We feature content from 43 countries and in over 20 languages, in different media formats and on different themes, from art and architecture to newspapers, films, and fashion. You'll hear more about this in the next slide. Europeana has identified three reuse markets, as we call them, so three markets where our content can make most impact. And I'm very happy to share with you that education is considered the top priority market for us. This is really the area where we believe that cultural data can help change education and schools and how you're teaching. So why we're doing all this? The purpose of my team, who is focusing on this reuse market and in particular with education, is to enrich digital learning materials with cultural data and to inspire learners of all ages. And this is particularly important this year, being the European Year of Cultural Heritage, because the focus is really on how the content from libraries, museums, and archives can be of benefit for teachers and students. What kind of resources does Europeana have? I grouped them in 4 groups. These are the this is Europeana collections with the various menus available, and we'll spend a bit more time in the next minutes. The more technical tools to access and use content. The resources developed with our partners, which vary from online platforms to collaborative tools, and the Europeana community, which are a number of online resources for all those who want to support digital learning with cultural content. So I'll start with our website, Europeana Collections, and this is actually where I'll do the practical example, and I'll show you how you can search, find, and credit content on Europeana. So let me see what I'm... This is how Europeana website looks like. As you can see, it's a lot of visuals on this website with this huge image in the very center, which we call the hero image, and which we change every few weeks so that we can really feature the variety and the richness of our content. In the very center, you see the search field where you can start your discovery tour on Europeana. And you can explore over 52 million artworks, artifacts, books, videos, and sound from the cultural institutions in Europe. Before diving in the keyword search, I'll walk you through the different sections of the website. I'll start with our collections. These are really curated sets, curated collections on a particular topic. Right now, we have 8 collections, which range from a collection on the First World War topic to art, fashion, maps, geography, to sport and photography. Our latest one is on migration, and it really features, it's a very hot topic, as we are all aware, and it features content from cultural institutions as well as personal stories on the topic of migration. However, the one collection which I really want to tell you about is our First World War collection, one of our oldest ones. And this is a unique collection because it has not only documents related to the First World War from all the libraries, museums, and archives in Europe, but it also provides access to a lot of personal stories collected during the so-called collection days we organized throughout the year. So since 2011, we organized public events across Europe where we invited people to come and bring their personal memorabilia, being the diary of their father who fought in the First World War, or letters of their grandma to their son on the front, or all this similar information. We digitized this information and we made them available on Europeana. So you can see a lot of personal stories which are really, really unique. On the collection, what you can also do is to add your personal First World War story. So if you personally, or maybe your students, have objects and letters related to the First World story in their family, they can go to this 1914-18 form, and they can, well, this is a bit explanation how the forms works, and they can submit their story, and then it will be available on Europeana. Every collection has this search box where you can start looking for a particular keyword, but it also features some shortcuts to particular subtopics within the topics. For the First World War collections, these are the woman in the First World War, the letters, postcards, or different front-related curated sets. Every collection also has some highlights, and they can be from virtual exhibition to personal stories and galleries. And to give you an example from other collection, art is a very, very rich collection, as you can imagine. This is how the art collection looks like, with links to a particular artist curation, and again with highlights such as exhibition, galleries, etc. Very interesting one for our, maybe more for the female, although I don't want to discriminate anyone, is our fashion collection. We worked with fashion houses, and we have really unique content around the collection, the historical content about fashion. What you can see is you can jump to the collection of a particular designer, or if you're really into fashion, into a particular technique, or even the material. You can decide, okay, I want to see everything which was produced with silk, and then explore what content we have. For those who are more into geography, the maps and collection is one of my personally favorite ones. There's some fantastic historical maps, really old one and more recent, as well globes, which can be useful for your classrooms. We'll add more and more collections in the future. Migration, as I mentioned, is one of them. Very soon we'll feature a collection on the rise of literature, where we'll focus on old manuscripts. And in September this year, we'll feature the newsletter collection, which will, as the name suggests, provide more information from historical newspapers. The next important highlight on our website is the Explorer button. So there you can filter your search using traditional information. You can decide, okay, I want everything which has the color red in mainly for pictures, all pictures which have the red color. Or you can go to the sources. I want everything which comes from a particular institution, for instance, from Hispana. It's a very big Spanish content aggregator, or from the German library, or you can select from an institution from your country. Other filters are the topics, the people, time periods, and I pay special attention to the galleries. The galleries are like mini curated sets of content, usually a combination of 20, 25 items on a particular subtopic with a very brief description what the gallery is about. As you can see, we have galleries on art and photography, maps, music and performance arts, First World War, migration. It's really a lot of visual content. So let me see, to pick an example to show you. Natural history. This is a very nice gallery with animals. So you can see some, of course, cats. We all love cats. And some other really nice pictures of animals. But there are, of course, other collections on Japanese art or Art Nouveau, fashion, etc. I really invite you to explore and pick the ones which will suit best to your classes. The virtual exhibitions are more comprehensive narratives using visuals, really small selection of visuals from Europeana. So if you click on virtual exhibitions, there you can find stories about a particular topic. Let's say Visions of War. It's how artists and soldiers depicted the First World War. And each virtual exhibition has an introduction about the topic, and then through the individual chapters, you have the small stories about each one. One of my favorite exhibitions, actually, well, it's very difficult to say which is my favorite, but I feature one on art and one on more related to the STEM education. So this is the Colossus of Leonardo da Vinci. This is a very nice introduction, more not really technical, but more STEM related virtual exhibition, which tells the story of Leonardo's monumental work, which was never completed. So you have an introduction of well, the protagonist who was involved, the conceptual work, and also some 3D modeling. It's a very interesting virtual exhibition combining the art content with some modern technologies like 3D models. Another one is the Art Nouveau exhibitions. Okay, here it is. I personally like very much the colors and yeah, the shapes used in the Art Nouveau movement. So you can see this exhibition introduces really the richness of the Art Nouveau movement across the arts. I mean, you can see the jewelry, the print works, the architecture, or the interiors. Really recommended ones. And finally, you can go to our blog post where we post on a regular basis very interesting stories or highlights from our collections. Because right now we are in the midst of all European migration collection days, so similar to the First World War collection days, we invite the general public to come to our events and to submit personal items related to their migration history. So therefore, you will see a lot of highlights related to migration. But if you can browse furthermore, you can see other highlights like silver cups or something more about the woman of the world, Paula Negri, or about singers. Yeah, and this is another great story, Love Across the Borders, the two Belgian brothers who love the same girl. This is the First World War story. So they're nice, nice highlights which can really animate your lessons. Moving back to Europeana, I'll invite you on a personal discovery tour. How you can search in Europeana. So let's start with our Art Nouveau tour. Okay. All right. So once you enter the keywords, you get a lot of results. As you can see here, we have over 80,000 results, and you can decide how you want to see these results. Right now, you can decide between the grid and the list view. Right now, I'm in the grid view, but if you pick the list, you can see it a bit differently, so smaller thumbnails with a bit of information. Switch to the grid. So moving to the left side menu, you can decide, okay, I want all Art Nouveau items, but in a particular collection. In this case, let's say all Art Nouveau related items in the art collection. So you narrow down your search. You can decide I want only images, or only text, or only videos. And within the image filter, you can even you can narrow it down even more by color, specific color, by orientation of the image being portrayed, or landscape, by the size, or even the format. A very important filter is use only items with links to the media. And I'll explain what it means. So once you click on an image, let's say this one, this item has links to the media, so you can immediately download the image. In some cases, the image is still at the partner's institution website, so you should click once again to reach the image. So therefore, for your convenience, I advise you to pick this filter, only items with links to media, so that you can immediately get the content you want. A very important filter is the can I use it? So this relates to the copyright information. Can you legally use the content in your works in your classroom, or can you students use it in their project? What I recommend here is to pick the free to reuse item filter, sorry, because this will show all the information which is available under the the 4 licenses. So public domain, CC0, CC BY, CC BY SA. These are the Creative Commons licenses, and items under these licenses can be reused in commercial and non-commercial projects with the proper attribution. You can also take a look under the items with limited reuse or even no reuse. These are items in copyright, but you can only use them as inspiration and not in your projects. Furthermore, you can pick items according to the country they're coming from Portugal, Norway, and by clicking more, you can select more countries. By the language, again, a lot of languages here. Aggregator, this is content aggregator. This is more specific information. I think more useful for you will be if you want content from a particular country and a particular institution, and you can select a museum, a library, etc., whatever is featured here for this particular search. So let's take a look at a particular item. Maybe we do colorful. Let's pick this one. Okay, so this is how an item card looks like. So you have this beautiful image and a lot of information about it. So this is the metadata information. You have the title of the image, you have a short description, some classification about the sizes, where it comes from which institution, and at the end you also have links to similar items. So if you really like this base, then you can explore a bit more around the topic. Very important information about the item is situated on your right. So you can view the item at the Rijksmuseum website, but here again you have the legal information. This is under what license is this item available. In this particular case, it's in public domain, so you can reuse this image for any project, commercial or non-commercial. Again, by clicking download, you can download the item, the high resolution item, and you can use it immediately. A very important filter, which I forgot to mention at the beginning, is the language up right, and you can select in the language you feel most comfortable in, so that you can search more conveniently. I think these are the most important features of Europeana right now. So at this point, I'd like to welcome any questions on the Europeana website before proceeding further. Okay, so maybe maybe Mariana, you can collect any questions at the end, and I'll answer them. Okay. So I'll move back to my presentations, and I'll tell you more about the Europeana tools to access and use the content. So you can manually download the item. This is the easier way to use it, which you saw just seconds ago. But if you're more technically savvy, we offer 5 APIs standing for Application Programming Interface. You need just an email address to register for the Europeana API, and you can get familiar with extensive documentation or get support from us by our Europeana API group or by a dedicated email API@Europeana.eu. What the API does is to help you to retrieve a lot of information. Really, we're talking about bigger quantities of data according to filters preset by you, and display this information in an online environment. So to give you an example, let's say you have an educational website and you want to feature Europeana content on this website. In this case, you can design, it's called query, where you say, I want all the information from Europeana, which is from, let's say, 17th century on this particular artist. And then by this query, the information will be retrieved automatically from Europeana without going to our website, and will be displayed in your environment in a way which is more convenient for your users. If you want to continue the conversation about the APIs and how you can design API queries, I'm more than happy to connect you to our API expert. But for now, I move to the next section, the resources which are developed by Europeana and selected partners. The first one is Historiana. Probably some of you are familiar with this website. So Historiana is the online learning platform developed by Euroclio, the European Association of History Educators. And Historiana provides really source collections and online learning tools for secondary education. We teamed up with Euroclio, and they created 2 types of resources with our content. The first one, which you see on your left in orange, these are the source collections. So again, these are curated selection of content from Europeana on a particular topic, from Stalin to Queen Victoria to Jeanne d'Arc and other historical topics. Each of these source collection offers also context. So it's not only the images, but it has some historical context and explanation. So I really recommend to go and explore this collection. Another resource which we started developing recently are the e-learning activities. So these are really resources you can take and use it in class. Again, on a lot of topics, we have over 20, I think, learning activities, and we continue adding more and more. Another example is an educational game for primary school children, which is developed by the Italian startup Art Stories. The app is called Art Faces. It introduces primary school children into visual art through selected artworks from the Europeana collections. The first version of the app was developed in 2016, but recently in January 2018, the Italian startup developed a second, more comprehensive version. And here you see the latest screenshot. And this version is quite popular. It had over 35,000 downloads only in the first 2 months. It's available on iTunes, on the Apple Store, and it's in English and Italian. The app has been also used in the children clubs in the family villages of the Italian tour operator Alpi Tour on Fuerteventura. reaching over 4,000 children in last summer 2017. So it's really nice game for primary school children. I'm sure they will like it a lot. A very interesting development, which is again by this Italian company, is another educational app, again for primary school children, called Wonders of the World. They're currently developing the app, which will again use content from Europeana, and the app will take a fictional character, a kid, through 13 sites of really significant of importance and really recognized sites like the Inca state or the pyramids in Giza. So not only in Europe but also around the world. The app will be released in September this year, so just keep an eye on a European website or even on the Art Stories website. We also developed a number of ebooks. The first one which we released was developed in cooperation with the Belgian history educator Gwen Verhoeven, Europeana and Euroclio and Apple within their Apple Distinguished Educator program. We released this multi-touch book and an eTwinedu course on the First World War topic. As you can see, it's called The Battle of Perspective, and the book introduces 4 hypotheses about the outbreak of the First World War. It's really very interactive book. It's also multilingual, available in English and Dutch. And here you can see it's also used in Belgian schools. What we are particularly proud of is that the eTwinedu course and the book, because they're associated with each other, are downloaded literally across the world. I was amazed to see that the top 10 downloads were from Asian country and North America, and European countries were in the lower part. Which of course is a great recognition about the interest in European cultural heritage and in the topic. Another ebook which we developed, again on the topic of the First World War, it's called Animals in the Great War. So it really studies the First World War from the standpoint of the animals that took part in it using the Europeana First World War thematic collection. The book is free. It's bilingual in Italian and English, and it aims at secondary education teachers and students. It's developed by the Italian Cultural Association, Associazione Culturale Se, my apologies for my Italian, and you can get a free copy on this link. I'm sure Mariana will post it in the chat. A very funny initiative we do with partners is the Give It Up initiative. So it's a competition which we organize together with the Digital Library of America and Digital Library of New Zealand, so public libraries across the world. And this challenge is looking for the best gifts created from public domain and openly licensed material available in digital libraries around the world. The competition usually takes place in October for 1 month, but of course we want to encourage all gift makers and cultural heritage enthusiasts, in this case also students, to remix and reuse our content. So therefore we publish these tutorials how to create gifts with cultural content. And again, you will see this, the links to these tutorials in the chat so that you can use it in your classrooms. Finally, I want to talk about the Europeana Transcribathon, which is an online collaboration tool developed by Europeana and the German company Fact and Files. So the Transcribathon really allows students and teachers to work with historical documents and to transcribe them into modern languages. Currently, Europeana Transcribathon, so the website is just transcribathon.com, features documents related to the First World War. in 4 languages, I believe. So English, French, German, and Italian. Soon more languages will be added. We have over 1,000 registered users, 11 transcribathons, so these are events for people to transcribe. And in 2018, we organized and will organize transcribathons in Italy, France, and Greece. The Greece ones just happened last week. So far, 30,000 documents have been collected and over 8,000 completed. And what's interesting about the transcribathon is that it's a really valuable tool for education. It encourages collaboration between the students because the students can use individually on the historical document, but also in teams. And you can even organize competitions between schools into transcribing these documents. It's a very powerful way to engage people with European, or students with European history. And to help them improve their transcription and media or digital capabilities. We also work with your peers, selected teachers, which happens by our collaboration with European Schoolnet. So in the next slides, I'll show you 2 developments. First one is the materials, the learning scenarios developed by the Europeana Teacher Developer Group. This is a group of 18 teachers from 6 countries, and they worked in the last over 10 months to create learning activities with Europeana content on really wide range of topics, the so-called STEAM, so science, technology, engineering, art, and math. The learning scenarios are in English only for now, but they can be easily translated in other languages, and they focus on the development of 21st century skills, again, collaboration, digital literacy, creativity, and critical thinking. You can explore all 31 learning scenarios on the UN Future Classroom Lab website. Just search for Europeana, and you can find all 31 of them. I encourage you to just browse. There are some really interesting ones, and I hope at least some of them will be helpful for your classrooms. Another important development is the recently released Europeana MOOC. So on 30th of April, again in collaboration with European Schoolnet, we started the Europeana MOOC, Europeana in your classroom, where in 5 modules you learn how Europeana can be helpful in your teaching practices, and you develop throughout the course learning scenarios with Europeana content. The MOOC will be available till 13th of June, so you can still register and join and take the modules at your own pace. I find it really useful too, so again, please feel free to join the MOOC. The registration link will be also posted in the chat. And finally, how you can join the Europeana community, how can you stay in touch with us, and how you can find out more. So we launched a dedicated space on Europeana Professional, which is our professional, our service for professionals, where you can feature different resources. And again, I'll show you how it looks like. So if I go, you just type Education Europeana EU, and you end up in this space for education. So on this website, you can see a lot of featured resources, webinars or leaflets, etc. You have an explanation of our goals in this area, and again, short list of resources. On the apps, you can see various applications, games, etc., which use our content specifically for education. On the publication, you can find various documents, and I would say the most useful one, if I go here, is the online guide for using, let me filter by markets, so education. Okay, So this is the guide to using Europeana education. It's a very short document which explains again how you can search and credit information on Europeana. It's available in 3 languages for now: English, French, and Spanish, with more to come. It's really useful tool to begin searching in Europeana. But back to the education website. What else can you find there? You can find also links to curated datasets. Again, these are thematic curated collection of content, from political illustration to paintings to high-resolution artworks, etc., etc. All these are openly licensed, so again, you can use them freely in your projects. So you can explore the website for furthermore. So you have information on the APIs, some latest news of what we do in the area of education. You can also join the Europeana Education LinkedIn group. It's open for everyone, where you and your peers can post updates on what you're doing with cultural content, or join the conversation on Twitter using the hashtag Europeana Education. And of course, you can send an email to me with any questions anytime at Milena Popova, Europeana.eu. So I'm very happy to welcome questions right now. I hope you found the presentation useful. Sí. Mariana, I would like to...
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
I'm here. Thanks, Milena, for presenting very useful resources, examples, and also useful websites that you have created with your partners, and also that you are having the MOOC at the European Schoolnet Academy. I think the MOOC has already there was one start date somewhere on the April the 30th, I think, but I hope we can still join. As you have said, it finishes at the 14th of June, and I have posted several links in the chat, and I hope people who would like to participate, maybe they can still join, myself included. Yeah, okay. So regarding the questions. I have several questions first, but also I have taken notes of one of the questions by Arif. I think Arif is from Turkey, so I can read his question first.
Sure.
The question was, I'm going to repost it in the chat if you wish, and you can read it for yourself. The question was, can we use the pictures in a digital area? For example, a hidden object game template. Don't know exactly in what part of your presentation this was posted. Maybe Arif would like to explain, or he would like to say more. So the point was, I posted the question in the chat.
Okay, so did you post it in the chat?
Can we use the pictures in a digital area? For example, a hidden object game. Maybe he wanted to know if he's available to download and use the images in some of online games, probably, I suppose. And that was very similar. Can you please explain?
Yeah, so I can...
Exactly.
Yes.
Yes, he says exactly.
Okay.
So what...
There are two ways. So as long as the images you selected are openly licensed, so available under one of the 4 licenses: public domain, Creative CC BY, Creative Commons 0, Creative Commons by, and Creative Commons by SA, you can use them in UGame projects. You can select manually the images and use them as you like in UGame. Or you might also want to use the API And then you set up a query, and then you can automatically retrieve the content from Europeana and use it in your game.
Okay. Would you like to start your camera? If that is okay, if you have,
Sure.
I think your connections, okay. Also, just wanted to let you know that regarding the question, that was a very nice question, a very similar question I actually had myself. So thank you, Ari, for posting. So if the images are actually, let's say, public domain, then we don't need to ask for the permission. What if we are using other images, or we would like to use images which are on the specific domain? Do we need to ask the permission from Europeana directly, or is it necessary enough to just type, to write down where the image has been downloaded? So what is the process? Because I'm aware of the copyright. I know that even if it is a public domain, it is okay to write down, to post a link where you have found the images if you are using in a PowerPoint presentation or something. So maybe can you explain more that part as well?
Yes, actually,
No.
I also want to share the screen once again to show it on the
Yes,
Europeana.
please, please. Yes, please do.
Okay.
Because you have mentioned the free use, which we all know, public domain, but then you mentioned no reuse regarding projects or something. So maybe the participants would like to know more. How can they use the images maybe in their eTwinning projects, and what if some of them are not free public domain but something else? What can be done?
Okay, so I go again to the item card, as you can see. So to the right information. So here, for instance, for this item, you see the license information is limited reuse. So it's under Creative Commons by non-commercial share alike. So when you click on this little arrow here, you go to the Creative Commons website where you can see immediately what you can do with this item and what kind of attribution you should do. So for this particular one, you're free to share and adapt it, and you should attribute, so you should credit the author in this case. So you can do that for every item on Europeana. To give you another example, let's look at the this one. Okay. So this one is no reuse. This is in copyright, so you can't use it. It's not allowed. But again, you can go to the right statements and see, you know, what's the explanation there. So you can use it only for inspiration.
Excellent. So for every image, there is an explanation. What type of Creative Commons it is? Is it a public free domain, or is it a total copyright? And if you want to explain what does it mean copyright, then the link will explain you what does it mean. So thank you so much. This is very important, especially with the new regulations, right? Also of everything that is coming on to use tomorrow on the 25th of May. Okay, I have one more question.
Sure.
Let me see. Yes, for instance, you told us that we can share our images, right? Our documents or something, if I'm not mistaken. So let's say I have an image of an old postcard of my hometown. Can I share it on Europeana? Is it going to be publicly displayed or only in... do you understand what I mean? For instance, I have a very nice postcard from the maybe 19th century, and I would like to share it with the Europeana. Is that possible? As you have explained it.
Yeah, maybe I wasn't clear enough, but what I meant is that you can share your story related to the First World War.
Story.
And items as well. But story and items related to the First World War and the migration collection. Right now, there is no possibility to upload your personal content on Europeana. I mean, as you said in the example with the 19th century postcard, I mean, it won't be possible to upload it. But if you, let's say, have a very nice letter of your grandfather who participated in the First World War, then you can go to, I mean, I can show again on the screen. So let's go again to Europeana. So on the collection, first football collection, and you have this item add to your 1940-1980 story. And there you can, submit the picture of the item as well, the story around this letter. And then on Europeana, people will be able to see the story, the narrative, and the object, and your name, because you will be named as a contributor.
Okay, so everybody who would like to use the collections and all other resources should create an account on Europeana?
No. So you can use the website
without
any account. What you can see here, the register and sign in, is only when you want to submit a story related to the first World War. Otherwise, no account is necessary. As you can see here, you can do whatever you want.
Yeah. So for just using the materials, it's no need to register. But if you'd like to share, then it's of course obligatory to sign in.
Yeah.
Okay. And how many languages? Yeah, and how many languages has the site been translated?
Yeah, as you can see, over 20.
Okay, very good. Yeah. Oh, even Croatian.
Yeah.
Oh, I will definitely share it with my colleagues who teach history, art, and of course English as well. As we have mentioned in the chat, that this website can be useful for content language learning, right? But not just for history or art or fashion, as you have mentioned. Okay. So I'm just checking if there's any other question. So from my point of view, I don't see any more questions. If I have missed any of the questions, feel free to ask Milena in the chat, or if you would like to use the mic, maybe you can tell me and I will give you the right. Also, I hope some of you have also been, let's share the camera, both of us. I hope some of you have also been the part of the MOOC. If not, you still have the chance to try to finish it. Okay. And as you all know, this webinar has been recorded, and it will be posted very soon in the Inclusive Education eTwinning group. I will also try to share it on YouTube. I hope, Milena, you are willing, okay with that, and also all the links that Milena has been sharing and I have been posting